Good morning. Market Day Report is on the air. All right, some interesting developments last night, and it involves China. How? Well, let's open the markets and see how we traded in the overnight session. We'll start with the corn market, and here's a hint. It has something to do with China and corn, but I'm not going to take his thunder. It's Brian Hoops in a moment, and he'll have the details for us. December corn overnight, couple of pennies higher at $4.19.5. Soybean trade in the overnight session was higher. The question is, can we go higher today during the day session? Both corn and beans have been lower 3 consecutive sessions. Wheat market higher overnight. Chicago 543.25 up 2 3/4. Hard red up 4 1/4 at 527 3/4. Spring wheat overnight mostly higher, and the cotton market moving higher as well. 68.72 up 48. Brian Hoops is president, Midwest Market Solutions. All right, corn, China. What's the story?
I about fell out of my chair this morning, Tony. We saw a corn sale to China. It's been a long time since we've seen any sales of anything to China, and they ended up buying 135,000 metric tons this morning, and that is for the new crop marketing year. There was also one of those weirdly worded export sales to an unknown destination, about 284,000 metric tons of corn sold, but it was received and then sold in the reporting period. So it was money that crop that we had taken in and then sent back out as far as exports go to an unknown destination. But I think the people are going to look at that China news and look at the price of corn and anticipate maybe China's going to start coming back in here and buying some U.S. products. It'd be nice if they bought some soybeans, but we'll take the corn sale at least. And you look at the export sales that were out this morning, they were good as well. Wheat, over 26 million bushels, a very strong number for wheat. Corn was very good for old crop and new crop. You combine those marketing years are well over 55 million bushels. Very strong numbers, well above what we need to be doing on a weekly basis to hit the USDA forecast. They're going to need to raise that export forecast again in the month of August in the supply and demand report. And soybean numbers are at the bottom end of expectations. These are not great numbers by any means. Soybeans were 5.9 million bushels and 8.8 for new crop. So we're slowing down, no doubt, in the soybeans through the course of the summer. We're not seeing much of a slowdown at all for corn sales. So that's very, very strong there for that market. And overall, these export numbers are encouraging. And the fact that we're seeing a little bounce here, if we can extend that during the day, that would be a real positive for this market that's really, tried to rally in the overnight. The funds step in and beat it down during the day because of the really good growing conditions we have.
All right, Brian, China and corn, but could China be in the market for some U.S. meat? We'll find out in a moment. Stay tuned. Market Day Report continues after this. So we will get a few reports tomorrow. Actually, I can count 3 reports that will affect the livestock markets. Cattle on feed report. We get that every month. We also get, now I didn't write it in here, but it's the inventory report and a cold storage report. So 3 different reports that could have an effect on the market next week. We don't get the reports until after the close tomorrow. No live cattle or cash cattle sales that I can find as of yet, at least meaningful. So let's go to the board. August yesterday at 227.35, up 237, and a 223 on the October, and then 224s after that across the board. To the feeders, feeders have been higher 3 straight sessions. Look at that, 332.07 on the August. That was the high. 332.42 was the high yesterday on September. Everything in positive territory. And what about the hogs? Well, if you just look at the August, but this does spill over into some of the other months, but August has been higher 6 straight sessions, 108.37 yesterday, up 62. So we bring Brian Hoops back in, Midwest Market Solutions. Said, could China be in the market for U.S. meat? And the answer is yes. They came to the feed trough for some pork sales. So they're in the market here as well.
Right. Yeah. You look at China and their buying habits, they used to buy a lot of products. They've changed their buying habits here recently. They're buying a lot more product from Brazil and from Argentina recently, as far as corn and soybeans go, really shutting down on U.S. purchases. So they used to buy some product from the U.S. and especially soybeans, but they shifted all that buying interest over to South America. They haven't really found a good supplier of pork, and so they're still dependent upon U.S. pork at this point in time anyway, to supply them with their needs. So we've seen them show up week after week on the pork sales. If we could talk about cattle here in a second, I think you really need to start waving a caution flag on this bull market. Our packer margins have now slipped about $240 a head in the red. That's a big change from what we were just 2, 3 weeks ago. Packer margins slipping here because the cutout values are falling. The Packers are actually cutting kills this week. Their kill schedule's down about 13,000 head or so compared to last week in an effort to prop up those boxes, and they are not doing that. The boxes continue to soften. I think that's really a big sign that consumers are starting to back away at these higher price levels. So I think there's a real concern. Raise that warning flag here if you're a producer. And we looked at 2 months ago or so, the deferred contracts had about a $22 discount to the current cash markets. Well, the futures have rallied while the cash market has been more stagnant. And so they've narrowed that spread to only about $6. If you look at October versus where the cash was last week, it's about a $6 difference. And once we get to par, it becomes very attractive to hedge those deferred contracts against the cash market. So things may be starting to turn a little bit here in this cattle market. And we know that demand usually softens as we go into late July, August, and September. Feeder cattle seasonals also turn lower next week into early part of August as well.
Yeah, that's good that you brought that up, Brian. Again, maybe the way to look at it, if you're playing that musical chairs, just make sure you're not without a chair when the music stops. Brian Hoops, President, Midwest Market Solutions.